outside of making ASMR videos. But yeah, I read a lot of books this year, especially in quarantine with COVID and everything. So yeah, I just want to go over some books, and I hope that this video is relaxing for you, and who knows, maybe you'll see a book that you want to read. So let's get started. So first and foremost, I have Where the Crawdads Sing. I loved this book. It's not usually a book that I read. I'm gonna be honest, I read mostly like fantasy and sci-fi fiction. That's kind of what I usually look for when I go to like Barnes and Nobles or really any bookstore. I always kind of look for those types of books, but I still do read other types of fiction, and this is an example of one. Where the crawdads sing. Delia Owens. But anyways, this is a really neat book about it's either South or North Carolina. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a really, really good story about a girl who doesn't really conform to like society's standards, and it's how do I put this? It's not like a current time, so it's earlier in the century. I guess the previous century, actually, 1900s. But it was a really beautiful story of this girl's life who essentially was judged by the town and this small town for not really conforming to society's standards. It's like not going to school and everything. However, she turned out to be one of the most educated people about the plant and animal life and things like that on these on the Carolina shore. So it was really beautiful. I love, obviously, I'm sure, I think everybody's heard about this book probably this year, so it's not a shocker that it's a good book, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's that. Alright, I'm very unorganized over here, so apologies. Next up is the Starless Sea. These types of books are more my speed, I guess, like fantasy and fiction. Erin Morgenstern is one of my favorite authors. She wrote The Night Circus, which is absolutely one of my favorite books. Her newest book, The Starless Sea, came out this year, and the way she writes is just so enchanting and just absolutely brings you into another world, and I love the aesthetic of this book as well. I love keys, I collect them, big fan. The Starless Sea. The keys here, and the ribbons that go around them. Yeah, this is a really interesting story about like this other world, and it's really good and really detailed, and it connects like our world to another world, which I love books like that, so highly recommend it. All the books that I have brought to show you today are books I highly recommend, so I'm just gonna put that out there. If you're a fiction reader, we can be friends for sure. I read some nonfiction sometimes, but overall, I like a break pronunciation dictionary thing, which is pretty cool because this is a major world building book. I mean, it's a completely different world, different names that you've never heard of, words that we've never heard of, so it creates an entire world, and it's magical. And I'm glad that they included the little dictionary pamphlet booklet, because I had some moments where I was lost and had to look up not only how to pronounce it, but what it was, so. But, the octanomi. I thought it was the octanomi, but I believe it's the octanomi. I don't know, but look at these pages. Each one of them has like this beautiful black artwork around the edges, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Everything about this book is perfect, and what's really cool is they actually have an AR augmented reality app that has like hidden messages within the book, so you scan the page with the app and really cool images and graphics pop up, and I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's like a whole experience, so I fell in love with this. Highly recommend it. Also, you can only order it on their website, so I believe it's like the-octanomi.com, I think. You have to order it from the UK. I live in America, so it took a while to get here, but totally worth it, and an absolutely beautiful, immersive story. Alright. I really should have had some kind of organizational system, but not today, no. So next up is Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, number 1. This is a very popular author. She writes a lot of young adult fantasy fiction. But this was her first adult fantasy fiction, and let me tell you, I was blown away by this book. This is also definitely a big world building book. It's basically about a city where a bunch of different clans kind of live. I don't know really what to call them, but different species of mythical creatures live. There's like fae and vampires, wolves, things like that. But it is not like any other story I've ever read. It's incredible. The dialogue's incredible. They have a powerful female lead. There's a bit of romance, lots of lies and deception. I loved it. And the coolest part about it is that it's like in the future. So they have technology and everything. It's basically like Earth in the future, but now all of these different mythical beings have taken over, and humans are actually the lower class, I'll say. But it was a really good story, and it's the first one of a series, so I'm very much looking forward to the next book in the series, that's for sure. Crescent City. Oh, that's a deep sound. Lovely book. Also recommend. Okay, next up is, I'm gonna show these both because they're kind of the same thing, but these are, I actually read, this is a series. I think there's 16 books in this series. I read every single one this year. I think I started reading them in March, but this was the last one that just came out this year, and this is the one right before, so book number 15, I think. But I had a lot of hardcovers, and I wanted to bring some paperbacks, so anyway, okay, before I read this series, I had never read a murder mystery series before. I didn't believe that it was my cup of tea, even though I love like true crime shows and mystery shows and a lot of SVU and stuff, but I don't know, I think I've always just leaned towards reading fantasy, sci-fi, fiction. So, a coworker recommended this series to me and I fell in love with it. It's now one of my favorite series of all time. It is basically a murder mystery series set in this really small, cozy Canadian town, and the fact that you can put murder and cozy in the same sentence is beautiful. The way they describe the food and the houses and everything is just beautiful. So I love every one of these books. 5 out of 5 for sure. So I highly recommend it. If you like murder mystery, you have to read this series. The first book is called Still Life, so by Louise Penny. I feel like if you like murder mystery, but you also don't want it to just be like cold and hard, I highly recommend this. There's amazing character development. The characters are incredible and dynamic, and it's just magical. I can't recommend this book series enough. Do a little paperback for you. It's that same series. So. My life, but like in a good way. First of all, it's super long. It's a thick boy. This is a sci-fi novel, FYI, and it's about an apocalypse, basically. First of all, this should be made into a a TV series. It is like perfect movie material, and if they do make it into a TV series, they better not screw it up because unbelievable. Just the best sci-fi book I've ever read, like no doubt about it, especially like best apocalyptic book I've ever read. And I started this book like right before COVID happened, and that wasn't the best timing, let's say. I don't want to be negative at all, but it was like scary, kind of. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically it starts off with what I would call like a sleeping sickness. So these people are all of a sudden overcome with, they're just sleepwalking, and you can't wake them up, can't do anything to them, and just over the course of time, like people just keep adding on to this herd of sleepwalkers, and I don't know, it was just scary accurate about like what would happen. I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but Chuck Wendig, by the way. Masterpiece. So next up I have The Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I love this book. I fell in love with it. If you guys have read another book that came out this year from her was Mexican Gothic, which was like a horror fiction novel. That book scared the bejesus out of me. It was very creepy, but it was good. But this is personally my favorite book of hers. It's a fantasy novel, and it ties in like Mexican mythology, and it was just a really beautiful story, and it's neat to learn about other cultures and mythology of other countries. So I really, really liked this book, and it was really cool, honestly. So beautiful book. Definitely not like anything I've ever read before, and I loved it. So I believe it's like set in like the Jazz Age too, so like Jazz Age Mexico, which is really cool. Gods of Jade and Shadow. Last book is Secrets of the Chocolate House by Paula Braxton. This is the second book in a series. There are only 3 of them out. I thought it was just a trilogy, but the way that the third one left off, like I'm pretty sure that there's going to be another one for sure. In fact, it would just be downright insulting if there wasn't. So, but this is the second book. The first book is called The Little Shop of Found Things. I love Paula Braxton. She's an incredible fantasy fiction writer. This book has to do, it's placed in current time, or the series. I'm just going to talk about the series. But it's about a girl and her mom who open up like a little antique shop. But the girl, her name is Sam, she has this ability to be able to get like visions and messages from objects. So they sing to her, basically, is how it's described. But anyways, in the series, she finds out that she can time travel with these items. So it goes back a couple centuries, and she's basically, these items sing to her so that she can go back and help the people that are are in a bad situation. So it's also cozy and really cool. I learned a lot about like 17th and 18th century stuff in this series, even 19th too. And I don't know, like my aesthetic, like teacups, like chocolate house. Yeah, I don't know. That's just, I love it. It's very enchanting. It says that, and I would stand by that. And anything by Paula Braxton's amazing, by the way. You can't go wrong with her. She's an amazing author. I really like the way the tapping on the book spine sounds. Alright. Well, that is all the books that I brought for you today. I read so many books this year, and I tried to just pick some of my favorites that I wanted to kind of bring as recommendations for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Just casual little chit chat and talk about one of my favorite things in the world, which is reading. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and sweet dreams.